Hello and welcome to Lesson 11 on how sadness and grief can be involved in depression. In this lesson, I will give you my theory about depression. The grief which is seen in depression is called complicated grief, so we could also say complicated sadness. The reason they are calling these complicated is because in both cases a fight or flight response is seen. In any normal grieving process, there is no stress response seen. Only in a person who is sad or grieving and depressed is there a stress response seen. This is good evidence that there is underhanded foul game play, a cheat of some sort. The cheat always involves a concealed threat, so we can expect to see a stress response, a fight or flight response in the person who is sad or grieving and who has become depressed. Psychiatrists have claimed that they see neuroplasticity in people who are depressed and who have issues of sadness and or grief. I think the reality is that is possibly sadness or grief that would involve neuroplasticity, and that is why they see it. The fact that they have become depressed has to do with the fact that they're being stressed at that time. Now, the neuroplasticity that is involved may certainly make things worse, because I strongly suspect that what is happening is that the body brings the metabolism low in order to make the readjustment up to resting metabolism. So sadness and grief involve lowered metabolism, and that may be accentuated by the need for the neuroplasticity to take place. However, there is another reason that I can see, and that is that with a threat there is an excited state, and that excited state may be confused by the body for the excited state that needs to be readjusted and brought back down to resting metabolism, with the thought of the lost loved one or whatever the loss was. This confusion is something that you can address, because knowing that there's a concealed threat and that there is an excited state associated with that threat because of your reaction, then your body will know that the excited state has nothing to do with the readjustment that needs to be made. Knowledge makes a real difference, because you can also prevent the strong reaction due to that threat, and you can prevent it by knowing that the threat is made to influence you and not to be carried out. So your reaction will be much less than it would be without that knowledge. With sadness and grief and a threat at the same time, we are going to see the same problems for the heart as we did with anxieties. There was worry, a low metabolism, and fear, high metabolism. Here, sadness and or grief has the low metabolism and the threat, which creates the fear, and the high metabolism. So once again, the heart is getting signals to go fast and then slow and then fast and then slow again, and so on. So it will become ineffective as a pump. When the heart becomes ineffective as a pump, it cannot sustain the metabolism and the changes in metabolism that are required, not even for resting metabolism. so the metabolism will go low and stay low. That is depression. Having knowledge that there is a threat can arrest the problem sufficiently to enable the heart to function. And this would arrest the depression, at least the worst of it. However, it is best to also try and overcome the grief. If it is the loss of a loved one, your worldview counts. If you are a theist, you know that there is an afterlife and there is a spiritual connection between loved ones. Therefore, the loss is temporary. If you are an atheist, then you are going to need to say goodbye and close that chapter. However, you can also appreciate that you were very fortunate to have that loved one in your life. Once you overcome the sadness and grief, then your heart will return to normal function. Even with the slight effect of the threat, it's not going to make sufficient difference that you are going to suffer depression. The depression is resolved.